It is my sometimes broadcast partner and also the fast rising UFC contender, Andre Petroski. Andre, I know you are excited to get back to work, man. It's been about 9 months between fights. I know you'd probably like to fight every 9 days if you could. So what's the excitement level for you like right now to be getting ready to compete again?
Man, I'm thrilled. I love the opponent and I love the location.
I bet. I bet. All right, let's talk about that. Let me ask you. Let's go back a little bit because I know you were scheduled to fight in May. Shoulder injury forced you out. I'm curious because I know you like to compete. Was that an easy decision for you to say I can't fight, or did people have to slap you around a little bit and talk some sense into you?
Um, it was tough. It was tough one to accept. Like I have never pulled out of a fight, and so that was the first time I ever pulled out of a fight. So that was hard, but um, it was easy in the sense of like I wasn't able to get through training, and like it was kind of just like how am I going to fight if I can't get through a training camp. So that was tough, but yeah, it was hard. It was tough, but it was the right decision.
Well, and I think it is the right decision. But I know fighters sometimes they tell themselves, "Oh, I can make it through. Like I'll find a way. I'll just show up on fight night, right?" I mean, was there any part of you that was thinking that to yourself, or was it clear to you like I absolutely just cannot take this fight?
Yeah, for sure. I was trying to convince myself that like for 2 or 3 weeks, and then, um, I would keep like bringing back to training, like just not doing anything live. Like I'll just drill, I'll just do this, I'll just do that, and then like it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and that's when I like kind of just had to accept that. Like I had to get treatment for it.
Much respect. Well, I'm glad you did that. I will admit though, when you announced this fight, I was a little sketched. I mean, only 3 months, right? So I was a little concerned. Is that too fast? I mean, did you rush back into this, being that kind of guy that wants to get in there, or do you feel like no, I'm 100% and I'm ready to go?
No, I feel 100% now for sure. I think it was a little bit more than 3 months, just because like I pulled out of the fight with Armin like over a month before it was
True.
scheduled to be. I gave the UFC like 5 6 weeks heads up that like, look, I can't get through a training session. Like I'm not going to be able to fight unless I get treatment on this. Um, and and even before I notified them of that, like I hadn't been training for a week. So
Nice.
it was a little bit longer, but thank God, and I didn't need surgery, so I think that kind of really shortened that recovery process down. I was able to get the stem cells and do 6 weeks of rehab, and overall, like during that time, I had like over 2 months off where I wasn't like hurting my shoulder and continuing to irritate it, and it did get better.
Very nice. Well, happy to hear that. And boy, you said you like the opponent. I kind of like the opponent too. When this got announced, I was like, okay. Gerald Meerschaert, of course, a true veteran of the division. Obviously, a Fury professional grappling veteran like yourself as well. But I guess what did you think about this matchup when it came together? It sounds like you're excited about it.
Yeah, so obviously I asked for this matchup before, and he also has asked for this matchup before, so it was kind of like made perfect sense. For me, it's always been about, he's got the most submissions in the division, and I've always continued to make the argument that I'm the best grappler in this division. So for me, like that's a no-brainer. That only further solidifies my argument.
I love it, man. And you know what a big fan of grappling I am, but it is an MMA fight, of course, so strikes are on the table. But I don't know, does that factor into you a little bit? Like if you're on top, let's say, you're in mount and you're raining down strikes, and it's like, oh man, looks like this TKO's here, but you're like, no, wait, I got to go for an arm triangle, or I got to try to slip to the back because I got to get a submission here. Like a TKO isn't enough. Does that factor in at all, or is it like, no, let's just go win an MMA fight?
Look, if he gives me his neck, I'm going to take it for sure. But a finish is a finish for definitely. Like that's first and foremost. Most important thing is to get a win and then a finish.
I like it. And you said you like the location as well. Getting a chance to fight in Boston means something too. Is it just being on the East Coast, or is it Boston specifically?
I mean, Boston's like the fighting Irish, and the last time I was there, Felder fought Cruikshank. Dominic Cruz beat TJ Dillashaw. So I've been in the arena for pay-per-view cards there before, and it was just an electrifying crowd, and really the energy in that arena was awesome. And I just something I want to be a part of. To be the one in the arena now doing being the competitor is special to me.
That's pretty cool. And it sounds like you're making a little road trip up there with your crew, right? I mean, is that still fun? Like at this point in your career, you could probably jump on a plane if you wanted to, right? But there's something kind of fun about putting the team together and all rolling together, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's only a 5-hour drive, but we got a good group, like our Eddie and Jonathan and John, and I'm bringing a training partner, Billy Janzer. So we got a good group of guys. It'll be a good trip for sure. And then we'll have a vehicle out there to be able to jump around. So
I love it, man. I love it. It's about creating those memories along with advancing your career as well, right? Having those stories. Look, a big win, like you said, you wanted this opponent. It makes a lot of sense. And then, I mean, I guess I don't want to jump ahead too far, but are we going to keep this Bo Nickal call out thing coming? If when you get your hand raised, is he the one that's going to get the challenge, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got to fight me eventually. If he wants a couple more build-up fights, that's likely. But eventually he's going to have to jump up the rankings and fight someone tough. So he can't just keep calling out, saying, "Oh, I'm ready for Hamzat." Keep calling out Hamzat and Adesanya, and then only fight bottom-tier guys. Eventually you have to come up. And I mean, everyone knows now that I've called him out over and over. A lot of people know that, everyone's saying nobody wants to fight Bo Nickal, but everybody knows that I've continued to call out Bo Nickal. So in that regard, he's got to address that at some point.
I love it, man. I hope that matchup does come together at some point, because that's another one that would look like would be great. Hey, Andre, I did want to ask you, man, obviously talking about this fight, but I've noticed recently, kind of outside of the cage, man, you're really starting to share more of your story and your background and your battle with addiction and, things that you didn't necessarily always talk about or put to the forefront. And I saw your post on social media that long ago, like, crediting Jared Gordon and everything that he's gone through. And I don't know, I guess, what kind of brought you to share that more? Because I think it's such an amazing message, but it seems like you're trying to share it a little bit more lately.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of like piggybacking off like what I said in the post was that there was a time where, I just couldn't stop getting high, and I didn't know what to do, and I felt really like helpless. And I heard Jared Gordon's story on Ariel Hawani's podcast, and I remember thinking like I didn't know any like drug addicts that got sober and went on to like be successful in fighting. Like I just didn't know any. And so to hear someone else go through that and reach the pinnacle of the sport, it did give me hope. I really just thought I was going to be destined to die a drug addict, and hearing a guy get sober and continue to pursue his career it meant a lot to me. And so I felt like now that I'm, 5-6 years removed from drugs, like I feel it's my obligation to show that, look, like people do recover and people do get better. And like today, like I have a daughter that loves me, and I love her. And like I never thought that when I was getting high that like my life would be what it is today. Like I remember, like I truly prayed for the life that I have today, and sometimes I take that for granted. But sometimes I have to remind myself of like how bad it was.
Man, that's so well said. Have you ever had a chance to talk to Jared about that directly and let him know that, that his voice kind of helped you?
Yeah, when I was probably like a year clean, I went to Sanford. It's Kill Cliff now, but I went to Sanford and he was there. This was maybe, I want to say like 4 years ago, and I talked to him. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
That's awesome, man. You just never know who you're impacting, right? I mean, sometimes we probably think nobody's hearing what I say, nobody cares, and you just never know who you're going to impact. And and he was able to help you, man. That's a very cool full circle thing.
For sure.
I love it, man.
People that helped me when I got clean. One of my friends was in a treatment center, and Jared came in, and he was at that treatment center. This is obviously like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And his appendix burst when he was in the treatment center, and he had to go to the hospital and then come back. So he was obviously in New York, and I don't know why he ended up coming down to Pennsylvania, but yeah.
That's incredible, man. That's amazing. Well, congratulations on your continued recovery and your continued success. Talk to me, Andre. Like you said, you get this win. You got some big names. You got some big ideas. What is the rest of this? I mean, do you slip in another fight before the end of the year? Do you have to kind of wait and see how you hold up after the fight? What's the plan after this?
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, this is the 5th fight on my contract, and I have a 6th fight. I have the Ultimate Fighter contract, which was 6 fights. So, you know, if everything goes well, and, you know, the UFC has taken care of me, they have been really good to me. So if all things go well, I would love to fight again before the end of the year. I know that the New York card is announced again. That is obviously super close to home and a special place to fight at. And I also heard that they're going to Atlantic City before the end of the year. So if that does become true, that would be my first choice.
I love it, man. Well, hopefully you get to one of those big East Coast shows before the end of the year. Appreciate the time as always, Andre. Always good to see you, my man. Hey, if we don't see you in the UFC again at the end of the year, maybe we'll get you back on the Fury professional grappling mats. You know, get some kind of competition for you.
Well, did they have they announced that? I heard some rumors.
Well, there were some things that it's not official yet. It's not official. I think I've heard the same rumors you have, and if those rumors come true, I think you got to be on that card, right?
Yeah. That timeline works perfectly, obviously.
I love it. Well, hopefully those all come to fruition. In the meantime, we'll let you focus on UFC 292. Best of luck, Andre. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, John.